This is the verse that abolishes racism, that abolishes pride in one's lineage, ancestry, colour, complexion, ethnicity, family background. It completely destroys it. And the Prophet ﷺ enacted this amongst the Arabs of Arabia, who were some of the most tribal and bigoted people when it came to ancestry and lineage prior to Islam. So much so that the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, they treated one another as true brothers regardless of their lineage and their ancestry. And even non-Muslim historians who do not believe in the past, many non-Muslim historians who have been serious academics and who have studied Islam, who are familiar with Arabic, one of the main things which they have noted is that one of the miraculous achievements of the Prophet ﷺ, so they may not believe in religion, in revelation, in God, but looking at the Prophet ﷺ and the society of Arabia from a purely historical, social perspective, one of the things they have marveled at is how the Messenger ﷺ abolished centuries-old traditions of Arabia, not just to do with religion, but to do with family, to do with lineage, to do with bonding and relations, to do with blood and ancestry and heritage, and replaced the brotherhood and fraternity of tribe with the brotherhood and fraternity of Islam. And that was a remarkable transformation. Truly was. One of the arguments given for the preservation of the EU, especially in today's climate with the current debates, is that the EU has helped avoid wars in Europe. Otherwise, prior to this spirit of cooperation and mutual recognition and the European fraternity, prior to this, Europe underwent centuries of warfare, and very serious warfare. And even now in modern day Europe, this is still one of the arguments being proposed for the preservation of the EU as a union, that it has actually prevented violence and wars. And the Arabs had a history of warfare. And why do I give the example of the EU? Despite everything, national sentiments still run very strong. And can you imagine something which suddenly overturns all of these nationalist sentiments and replaces them with something new in such a manner that the previous rivalries, the previous history is all forgotten, and not just forgotten but completely replaced? It's unimaginable. And yet the Prophet ﷺ achieved that in a stroke in Arabia. These Arabs who bought and sold slaves, who even after freeing them and emancipating them, still regarded them as their unpaid employees. These Arabs who are boastful of their lineage and their ancestry in every way, suddenly abolished all of that and lived with one another as brothers. Truly. How did the Prophet ﷺ achieve that? With the verses of the Quran, with his own noble example, and with the sheer force of his personality and the barakah, the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.